Hey everyone, my name is Jack, and a few weeks ago I did an update about the Pershing Square Tontine Holdings SPAC deal with Universal Music Group and how that was falling through because of concerns from the SEC and the sort of regulatory environment we're seeing with SPACs. Well, in that deal, although Pershing Square Tontine Holdings, the SPAC, wasn't going to be getting this deal anymore, Pershing Square Holdings, the hedge fund that makes up a large portion of my portfolio, is actually still going through with a portion of the deal. They are still trying to acquire Universal Music Group shares. They're able to do this because Pershing Square Holdings, the hedge fund run by Bill Ackman, was the sponsor and is the sponsor still to Pershing Square Tontine Holdings, the SPAC. In their agreement to purchase Universal Music Group, Pershing Square Tontine Holdings had an assignment right that it could give to Pershing Square Holdings, the sponsor. They ended up going through with that assignment, so now Pershing Square Holdings has the right to purchase 10% of Universal Music Group, which they're getting close to closing. In total, that would be about a $3 billion deal for Pershing Square Holdings to actually acquire 10% of Universal Music Group, and that's compared to about the $12 billion or so that it has in its fund, and that's not including the SPAC, which in itself is about $4 billion. Well, to fund at least part of this purchase, now that the SPAC won't be involved, Pershing Square is looking to raise an additional $1 billion in capital, at least allegedly, according to someone who's familiar with it. This was reported by Bloomberg. We haven't gotten an official announcement from Pershing Square or Bill Ackman yet, but raising that additional $1 billion in capital would be a little bit under 10% of the current fund value, so it's a significant amount of money to raise. And this tells me a few things about where I think Pershing Square is heading, or at least the direction it's taking. For one, it doesn't want to sell any more of its holdings to actually fund this deal, since it seems to like its position. We already saw Pershing Square sell off Starbucks a while back to then move some money into Domino's Pizza, coincidentally, since it got below a target price they were looking at. And they've already seen some pretty sizable returns since then, since they basically nailed the recent bottom, and it's gone on a pretty impressive run since then. And they've been trimming some of their holdings, likely to make room for the SPAC deal that is no more, but now to actually go forward with the actual share purchase agreement now that the SPAC won't be involved. But I also think Ackman wants to take advantage of the fact that there's lots of liquidity out there right now looking for a target. He has a target right here with Universal Music Group. He has all of his other holdings in the fund as well that seem pretty attractive for most investors, at least I would think, or at least to enough investors that he'd be able to raise some significant money. I mean, look what happened with the SPAC. That was a blank check company. So people believed in Ackman enough to give him $4 billion, and at some point more like $6 billion once the fund ran up quite a bit. It's not there anymore. It's back all the way down to $4 billion. But what I think this also might mean is that Pershing Square is probably close to another deal somewhere else, or at least they don't want to tie up too much of their own capital that they already have into this UMG deal, since that's already underway. That should be secured. And if they can raise a little bit of extra money for this deal, then they can keep some of their other money free for a future deal with the SPAC now that it's open again to go for another deal. They were talking about before that they were already looking for another deal at the moment. They were in talks with multiple different companies for what would have been the multiple different entities that spun out of the existing SPAC, but that's not going to happen anymore. We're just back to SPAC stage one, I guess if you want to call it that. And that SPAC is already looking at other targets, and maybe they're getting pretty close here, and that's what this capital raise might mean. And to facilitate this capital raise, according to Bloomberg, they'd be using a sidecar vehicle similar to the one that they used with ADP a while back. So we'll see if that structure, what that's actually going to look like when we get more information. Of course, assuming this is true, this is kind of hearsay evidence. We're believing that what Bloomberg heard is actually correct. I would imagine it is, because we haven't heard anything saying that it's not correct. So if anything, they're probably really close to announcing this officially or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get some more news in the near future. Now, as for me with my stake in Pershing Square Holdings, I am currently on pause right now for adding more to it. I would probably like to if I had a lot more cash, but I recently closed on a real estate deal, so a lot of money is going towards that right now via the down payment, also some light rehab to spruce it up a bit, and plus we're going to be renovating our current place, not really renovating, but like some new paint and a few little cosmetic items to make it nice and ready as a rental. But that's where a lot of my cash is going, so I might otherwise be inclined to invest more money into Pershing Square, but it's already the largest stock holding that I have. But I don't know if this would be the best idea for me right now to put more money into it. You can obviously make your own call, do your own research, and depending on your risk tolerance, maybe this is a great idea. I do think Pershing Square Holdings is in a very good spot. There's some uncertainty with what's going to happen with the SPAC, since you have the regulatory side that clearly has thrown a wrench into things in the past. Maybe it'll throw a wrench into things in the future as as well. That is a risk. However, Pershing Square Tontine Holdings has been beaten down all the way back down nearly to its IPO price of $20. So theoretically, there's not too much downside there if you were to invest in the SPAC again, but then you're reliant on actually them finding a deal and then not being diluted too much with warrants at the end if you're a Pershing Square Tontine Holdings shareholder, not a Pershing Square Holdings shareholder who would benefit from the warrants and being able to get a discount on the eventual SPAC deal if that does in fact go through sometime in the near future. But in any event, I don't plan on changing my Pershing Square Holdings position very much. I might add a little bit here and there as time goes on. The price hasn't really moved much since I made my initial investment and also added to it about, a month or two ago. I guess it's been since I added a bit more to my Pershing Square Holdings position. But so long as the fundamentals remain pretty strong in my view, I'm going to hold on to this position and look to add more if we get some price action towards the negative, or if we get some really positive fundamental news that would make the investment case that much stronger. But that's the news. Pershing Square is apparently trying to raise about $1 billion to facilitate this UMG deal, and so as to not tie up capital for that deal, and I think to leave it free for another deal so that they can buy into the SPAC deal when that actually happens with Pershing Square Tontine Holdings if they find another target pretty soon. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but if you like this video, please like it since that would help the channel out a lot. And if you like this sort of content about investing, and I do a lot of content about Pershing Square, I have a whole playlist dedicated to it on the channel if you want to check that out. Definitely subscribe since I put out new videos every single week and wouldn't want you guys to miss out. And check out the free stuff and the affiliate links in the description below. But until next time, take care.